today's spotlight is Dr. Phil Heaton.
Whoop,
Hey,
whoop.
Dr.
Hello,
Heaton, welcome to the show.
Hello,
How are
hello.
you?
sir.
Hi guys.
Hey, all right. Let me give a little background on Dr. Heaton. He spent 10 years as a consultant orthopedic surgeon in the UK, specializing in lower limb arthroplasty, aka joint replacement surgery, and broken bone. In addition to his work in orthopedics, Dr. Heaton is also a fitness enthusiast, 7-time athletic sprint world champion for the 100-meter World Medical Games. He's also won silver and bronze medals for virtual reality sports competitions. But he says his proudest achievement is being father to Buju and little Phil, who also are his
Hey,
best friends and coolest advisors. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
welcome,
Thank
Phil.
you very
Welcome.
much, guys.
And thank you,
Well,
Buju, for helping you out getting on here.
Yeah, thank you,
Yes,
Buju.
like I say, he's my right-hand soldier, and he's one man I'd take to war with me if ever I had to go to war. I rely on him.
aw,
Awesome.
It's just a beautiful
love it.
relationship to go from first being a father to a little boy who's now a big man who advises me and supports me, as you see, with connecting to your show today, to my right-hand man permanently.
How
So
old is he now? How old is he now?
He's 24. He's
Oh,
just
that's
24.
graduated from
good.
university as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Nice.
All right.
good.
So welcome to the show. So please take a minute, tell us
Thank
about
you.
a little bit more about yourself, what you do, tell our audience something that they can't go online and Google about you.
Well, um, like I say, my proudest achievement, as I say, is being a father, and I take that role very seriously because, firstly, as a uh, Caribbean descendant black man, it's very important for us to try and lead by example, to look after the next generation, and to support our kids. So, as much as everybody would look at the alphabets after each of our names and say, I graduated from here, here, and here, and I'm disqualified, that qualified, it's really important for us to reiterate, especially within the ethnic minority groups globally, that it's important for us to pass on financial, emotional, and educational support to our descendants, our children, our cousins, our nephews, and nieces. And I take that role very seriously because it's what I believe will help not just our race, but the human race, not just our communities as black communities, but also the human race to propel itself forward. Because believe it or not, when one race is progressive and the other races are retarded, there will never be social equality and there will be wars and disharmony globally. But when every race feels like we're all progressing in the right direction, there is harmony and love. And I believe love is the message of the planet. That's the
That's
successful path to continuation of the human race. In terms of what I do as a surgeon, I did a PhD degree on hip joints, looking at joint replacements after medical school and graduating as a trainee surgeon. One of my passion was to try and understand why the same operation would work in one person really well and then fail in another person
Mm,
really badly in
interesting.
the hands of the same group of surgeons. And my PhD work on the hip joint was one of the very first work at the University of Portsmouth in the UK to elucidate the causes of what we call aseptic loosening of joint replacements of the hip in particular.
Mhm.
So that's another thing I'm extremely passionate about. Um, in terms of my general public approach, what I'm extremely passionate about is being able to say, this is my gospel. I live by it, and I hope my patients can see me as an inspiration and take my fitness hints from a doctor who works, close to 90 hours a week sometimes, but still make time for
Fitness.
creating
Oh, really?
what I believe is my passion of staying fit, keeping fit, because I know the, the consequences, the complications of physical inactivity and the multiple comorbidities that are associated with that.
All right. So I have a question for you
Then,
based upon that. Uh,
sure.
So here's a question. I've had several injuries from sports. I've had two arthroscopic knee surgeries,
Oh my
a
God.
broken ankle. Yep, there we go again. A broken
You
ankle,
had
torn
two
labrum,
surgeries?
rotator cuff. Um, Now I would normally feel pain in those spots, right? Of course, from time to time. But at like age 38, I noticed I wasn't recovering as fast from workouts and then random aches and pains all over the place. And I like to play volleyball. And if it's not my shoulder, it's my neck, it's my knee, maybe it's my feet one day. And I, I don't know. There's not a day that goes by that I don't have pain. So I want to know, what is your best advice to reduce the pain of getting old?
Okay. Let me just say, you are not alone, right? Your peers who are in the same, no, I'm being serious. Your peers who are in the same sports club or in the same volleyball team with you
Hmm.
are either being a lot more sheepish, keeping their pains away, than you, who, my brother, are very, very open and honest about your body's feeling. The truth is, our generation has got to be one generation that is slightly better off than all of the previous generations in terms of the technology that's available now for recovery. And you've said it brilliantly, my brother. The truth is, we are not good at recovering excellently. When you recover well, now let me just put it out there. Age is not the problem. Even
Mm.
the professional sports teams all have it wrong. They believe that, oh, you get to a certain age and you're done. We've got to sign these players off. We've got to take their contracts away and let them go and dwindle with a single year contract wherever they can get. Just look at your beautiful country. Tom Brady. How old is my man?
Like
He's well in
43.
his 40s.
Lizzie,
Yeah,
how old is he?
43.
43, right?
And the
How
Patriots
old
were
is he
happy to
really?
sell him. Yeah, and the Patriots were happy to send him off as, oh, used property, no good for anything else. Let him go and retire into a nice big farm or family life. The man's still at the top of the game, and I am so happy that he was able to come out on top. I mean, the Patriots didn't even make it to the Super Bowl, as you guys know, because you're all American. But it was probably one of
Not.
and I think Tom Brady does not know how much he has done the scientific world of our kind of thinking, how much good he has done for us, because a lot of teams have this phenomenal number of 30 as the exclusion number, that once an athlete reaches 30,
Yeah,
that's
that is
it,
the
they're
age.
finished,
Yeah.
they're going to be useless. No, it's about respecting science. And in direct answer to your question, my brother,
Hmm.
what we have to be better at doing is educating the population about the techniques of recovery. So at my facility, for example, we've got decompression trousers, and what decompression is all about is getting, when one of the great things my grandma used to do, she's Jamaican, well, she was Jamaican, bless her, and she used to wash her clothes by hand for all the times I knew her as a grandkid.
Sure.
And the simple truth of rinsing the clothes is the exact science that we're talking about here. When you rinse clothes, you get the extra water that's soaked in the clothes out, don't you? So you speed up the drying process. If you imagine exercise as the process of dampening the body with a lot of nasty excrements like lactic acid is
Oh,
an
I
acid.
hate
It's a
lactic.
weak acid, but it's still an acid. And like all acids in the wrong biological environment, it'll make your joints stiff, it'll make your muscles
Mm.
cramp, it'll make your muscles feel like there's a needle in them.
Hmm.
That's the post exercise effect that you are feeling as pain. So you essentially need somebody to rinse you out, almost like that cloth that my grandma's rinsing out after it's
Okay.
been damp.
Okay.
And then what you do is you're squeezing out all the lactic acid from the muscles into your circulation, into your blood. The next phase of recovery then is for all that blood that's now loaded up with lactic acid to be filtered through the kidneys by you drinking a lot
A
of
lot of
fluid. So
water.
you go and try this
Right.
session out. I
That's what
mean,
Tom
I know
Brady
the
said. I mean,
the
you bring
the,
up Tom
the
Brady. That's what he said. He said he drinks like 2 gallons of water a day.
Absolutely. And that's because once you've gone and
Wow.
Lizzie doesn't
decompressed
like Tom
after an
Brady.
exercise session, you then drink a lot of fluid. All that lactic acid can then be flushed into the kidneys where you pee it out as urine. And I promise you, you do that technique the next time you finish training,
Uh-huh.
the following morning you'll wake up thinking, I can play the whole game again.
All right.
It's that simple.
I'm gonna take that
That,
advice.
that's that's the first, that's the first part of active recovery. The other part of active recovery is to mix. We know that the body likes alternate temperatures for rehabilitation. So you'll see a
Mm.
lot of people do ice cold
Cold
baths,
ice baths.
dumping, where you just jump into ice cold bath. It's very difficult because it can be a very painful experience. But we now know, and there is science out there to prove that if you mix ice cold bath with saunas immediately after the game, then again
Finish
you
sound.
create the same effect.
Sauna.
Yeah. So you create the same effect of rinsing that cloth, like I told you at the beginning, you're rinsing
Because
the
the
muscles
muscles
of
are
the lactic
contracting and
acid.
expanding, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And so, the science is out there for this generation to know better,
All right.
but
Let me let
it's
Robbie
not,
Rod get up in
it's
here
not,
for a question.
okay.
First off, I want to commend you for leading by example in fitness with your patients. I think that's
Thank
absolutely
you.
wonderful. I hear many doctors profess the benefits of a healthy and active lifestyle, but live a sedentary lifestyle because they're too busy professionally.
Absolutely.
That being said,
It's a
springtime
great
is upon
excuse.
us. Yeah, it's a reason, time management.
Good excuse.
But springtime is upon us, and people are excited to get back out there and get into shape. What recommendations do you have for our audience after we've been cooped up for several months because of the weather and COVID restrictions? What tips do you have for us, for those who want to be active again?
Well, I mean, I think it's a very good point that you make that we've all been stuck in like real little animals, not being able to get out there and do the things that we want. And this has had immense emotional, psychological, and physical effects, some of which we are not even beginning to see just yet. Some of this will
Mhm.
be delayed responses, delayed complications that will turn up 3, 4, 5 years down the line in the next generation. But in the short term, certainly those things that we can do to help is first to get back into a gradual exercise program. This is not the time to go back once lockdown is over uh, and start doing explosive activities. There has to be a 6 to 8 weeks of gradual cardio work to get some of the fitness back gradually. Because one thing about, um, again, the biology of soft tissues,
Hmm.
tendons, muscles, ligament, is that they are different from bone. Bone is very good at being resilient at high impact. Elastic strength is a function of soft tissues, ligament, tendons, and muscles.
Yeah.
And if you increase or attempt to increase your elastic strength too rapidly, then you're predisposing your body to things like sprains, muscle tears,
Yeah.
muscle ruptures, which are extremely painful. Uh, and some of them are actually very difficult to recover from. For example, the Achilles tendon ruptures can take up to
Mhm.
Oh,
18 months to get
yeah.
back to the
That's
point
I've
where
had
you
person.
were,
I know a
say,
friend who
when you ruptured
lost
it.
both of them, both
Ouch.
Yeah,
Achilles tendons
Kobe
back to back.
Bryant was another phenomenal athlete who ruptured his Achilles
Clay
tendon and
Thompson,
had
Kevin
exactly
Durant.
that period.
Yeah.
The
Clay
jam,
Thompson, Kevin Durant. Yeah.
the
It's
jam.
it's
Yeah,
it's
Jam.
absolutely. Yeah.
One of our
So it's
co-hosts, he
really
lost both of
important.
his Achilles tendons.
Ooh.
Wow. Yeah, so it's really important as we get back into the training programs that we would like to get into to be sensible,
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
program
Because
of,
I don't
say,
like boot
six to
camps
eight
for that
weeks
reason.
gradual build up,
Yeah.
where we're doing cardio mostly in the
Hmm.
first 6 to 8 weeks. And then as our cardio base is improving, the elastic strength of the muscles and tendons and ligaments is also increasing.
Okay.
It's not right to just go back into the full-blown explosive
Yeah.
training programs that some of
Definitely.
us might have been able to do before, because
All
as
right.
I
Let me
said,
get Lizzie Enders in
the
here.
rotator cuff and the shoulders are waiting to get ruptured. The Achilles tendons, the quads tendons, the hamstring tendons, these are all injuries that I see a lot in my clinics. So a
All right.
gradual build up with cardio
Dr. Heaton,
first
let
for
me
six
let me
to
get
eight weeks.
Lizzie in here to ask a question. Lizzie Enders wants to ask a question.
Sure.
So my question is goes along gender lines. One, I'm a sports journalist and an English professor, but as a sports journalist, I am no fan of Tom Brady's, but I do respect, his craft and what he's been able to do. But what you said about Tom Brady, I kind of apply that to Serena Williams. I was a tennis editor at Sports Illustrated,
Absolutely.
so I apply that to Serena Williams, who is 39 years old, who is still one of the top tennis players in the world right now, who won her last Grand Slam championship while she was, what, 2.5 months pregnant? But she's 39. And she hasn't really been able to, even though she still made Grand Slam finals over the past 2.5 years in her comeback, she still hasn't won that, next championship. And so my question to you is, in terms of women, in terms of females, like, do you have any specific advice as to how we go about our training and recovery and getting back, on track as it relates to physical fitness? Because I know, like, I'm not an athlete. However, I've had several trainers. I like to be physically fit and look good. And this past year of being like in quarantine in my house is
Mm-hmm.
driving me crazy. And a lot of it is mental because I don't want to go out and be around people. But I also don't like looking at the changes in my body over the past year. So, what would your advice be to women who are trying to get back on track in terms of
All right.
physical
So
fitness and
first,
recovery?
let me just say first and foremost, please to all the females of the planet, don't feel alone. It's a global phenomenon. Everybody, no matter what country you're in, has put on roughly between 1 and 2% of their body weight. And that equates to about 3 to 4 kilograms for some people, which is about 6 to 10 pounds for in the American language.
A
Um,
little bit
that's not
more.
because
Yeah,
we,
I put on a little more
that's
than that
not
myself.
that's not
I
because
understand.
we're doing everything wrong. It's purely because with physical inactivity, or should I say, relative physical inactivity, all of a sudden we are all respecting the fact that women can go shopping, and that is actually a physical activity. In the past, you ladies going
Women can go
shopping would have
shop.
cost you 6 to 7 hours of being on your feet, carrying
I might
bags,
agree with
light
you
or
with that.
heavy, traveling
You should
there
see
and
my
coming back
closet,
and
Phil.
spending that money.
You should see my closet,
Spending
Phil.
that
That is
money.
That
great
explains
proof
why
that
you
that
were.
is a physical activity.
That's why
My
you were so
closet
physically fit, Lizzie.
Exactly. Yeah. And not
That-
having that opportunity to do those things, even especially as everybody can shop online now, means that we all have mounted up that extra bit of calories now, and therefore that translates to weight, body weight increases. For women in particular, there are two aspects in terms of how women usually present in my clinic. The first is that the injuries that women are more prone to because of specific joints that are weakened because of the inactivity are often the knee joint, particularly the quadriceps tendon, which are weaker because all of our body weight tends to be focused in one particular aspect of the body, in the trunk portion of the body. And then injuries that women often have with those sometimes could also be to do with the hips as well. So the hip of the same side or the hip of the opposite side
don't.
as the knee that's painful. And then the more common one is obviously lower back pains. All of those episodes have increased
Yeah,
phenomenally
definitely.
in women with physical inactivity. Um,
Mhm.
the third aspect to that, answering that question, is, of course, as you've rightfully mentioned, women have a particular affinity to wanting to look even a particular way, to look good in terms of the silhouette, the curve. In some cultures, it's bigger. It's the bigger behind of the buttocks. It's the waistline. It's the shoulders, and then it's the calf in different parts of the world. So everybody has to decide what portion they want to focus on for themselves. From the scientific point of view, for me as a surgeon, it's looking at functionally what do you need to make sure that you're not in difficulty to perform the functions that you need to perform. So I would say get back to things like squatting, leg extensions,
That's what I
calf
started
raises,
doing. That's exactly what I started doing
yeah,
recently.
and then hip flexion.
Yep.
Because once you incorporate those three movements, it's very unlikely that you'll suffer from the fourth, which is lumbosacral back pain, because that chain of command needs to start from the lower back,
All
be
right.
transferred to the front of the hip, the front of the thigh, and the front of the knee, in order that we can at least get up from a low sitting position, drive in a low sports car,
Yep.
and get up and down a staircase and get into a comfortable chair and bed at night.
Dr. Heaton, it looks like we're running really, really short on time. I know Johnny might have had a question. Johnny, did you have a quick
Okay.
question, or do you want to just save it?
Um, it was kind of a lengthy question. It was gonna talk about where your facility was and the type of athletes you treat, but
Okay,
is it something you
let me
can quickly
just get to some of the comments online, and then this looks like there's still a delay with um your video. So let me
Uh-oh.
so let's see. We got some comments online. It says we got one from Jose. She suggests yoga for me. Paulette agrees with yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jacqueline Robbins says I'm bad at stretching too because Mike Winter suggested that after volleyball, if I were to stretch, it
Oh
would
my
help.
God.
Very true.
So yeah, Johnny, go ahead and ask your question. Well, since you're a little delayed, let me go ahead and just give Dr. Phil an opportunity to just any last words. Unfortunately, we really are out of time. Any last words, any shout outs you want to give, or, tell people where they can find you on social media if they want more info.
Yeah, on social media, I'm on Instagram as at Doctor. That's dr.phil.heaton. So please join us. Something else that I'd love to share with you guys is a virtual reality Icarus, which you'll see on my Instagram page, which is something that I'm very passionate about. It's our way of creating and designing sports equipment that creates international competitions. It gives young people a chance to make some money, but at the same time meet inspired athletes like myself and my friend, the world champion, and my son, who's a silver medalist from the World Championships. But more importantly, from the scientific portion, it allows the joints to be preserved. So none of these high impact sports that we're all doing that's causing damage to joints.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks
You'll
like, Gianni, it looks like your sound is back on track. All right. That's good to know. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Phil Heaton, for joining us. We really do appreciate you joining us. Great
Thank you.
information. You answered my questions. I know what I need to do now to get some of this COVID weight off and do it the right way. So
We appreciate your information.
I do appreciate it. Thank you so
My
much,
pleasure, guys.
Dr. Heaton. And we'll
My
have you
pleasure.
back
And what a
soon.
great show you guys have got.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
Aw,
much. We
it is
appreciate
Dr.
that.
great.
Heaton, Dr. Heaton, I might reach out just to get like specific upper body exercises. So look out for maybe
Absolutely.
like a
Anytime.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Dr. Heaton.
Thank
Thank
I'll
you so
look
much.
forward to that. Let's all connect on Instagram, and yeah, definitely we can talk some more. Be a
Sounds
pleasure
awesome.
anytime.
Definitely.
Thank you, Dr. Heaton. We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys.